routine by time, and ambitions are low, and resentment rides high, but emotions won't grow, and we're changing our ways, taking different roads. Love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again. Why is this bedroom so cold? You turn away on your side. Is my timing not flawed? Our respect runs so dry. Yet there's still this appeal that we've kept you alive. Love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again. Cry out in your sleep, all my failings exposed. There's a taste in my mouth as desperation takes hold. Just that something so good just can't function no more. Love will tear us apart again. 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 Check out Sonata Like Immersions or subscribe to be the first to see them every week. And I chime in when the haven't you people ever heard of? Closing the goddamn door, no. Better face these kind of things. Listen to poison rationality. What up, Twitch? What up, Twitch? What up, Paradigm? What up, Hydran? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. It's your boy. Sorry I'm a little late. I think I think I have everything ironed out going forward. Um so I I think are we smoking the weed, kids? We probably should, right? We probably should. What up, Ben? I walked in the door, I turned on the computer, I had to wait for it to fire up and everything else, and then as soon as I had updated the stream title and the thing, the alert message, and then I hit go live. So I've not yet just smoked the weed, kids. Yeah, and going forward, we should be good with Monday and Tuesday, 1 p.m. start. It should work out. And then, sorry to the West Coast homies, but Friday and Saturday will be early starts we'll do 9 a.m. to noon and then right into James, and that'll be it. That will be that will be the plan. Mm, mm, Sorry, I'm just doing a quick run through, seeing if there's anything I want to throw in the. Yeah, so because apparently some stuff has happened. Everybody's talking about Kimmy. So Kimmy is apparently legit. And maybe things are not going the way of OpenAI. All right. You want to say hi to chat, Stampy? I'll give you snacks. No? Oh. Holy cripes. What's a Kimmy? We talked about Kimmy yesterday, but I guess we could talk about Kimmy again today, briefly. What up, Michael? It's funny how I've been seeing a lot of mainstream AI discussions, and it sounds a lot like surfing the internet mainstream discussions in the 90s. Yeah. Maybe does need to unionize. Shush. All right, so let's open up with Kimmy. Come All right. Let's just get into it.
This is Chime K2, and it's a bit like a Swiss Army knife the size of a building. Huge, but somehow still handy and does useful things. Oh yes, give me that. And for me, I feel that it just came out of nowhere. This is the biggest open language model AI and perhaps the most surprising one, because it might be the smartest non-thinking model out there. The numbers certainly indicate that, but we are fellow scholars here, so we like to look a bit more closely. This 1 trillion, yes, 1 trillion parameter model can code up a cool interactive 3D mountain scene for you, can create a visual analysis of remote work trends, and remember coding up the classic.
Apparently, Stampy wants lap time. You miss me? Thanks. I chime in with the haven't you people ever heard of? Oh, then I am the word, yo. Loving you is easy 'cause you're beautiful. You brighten up my day and make my dreams come true. La 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 la. La 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 la. Dooby doo doo. All right. All right.
Bouncing ball experiment from earlier, passing with flying colors. It can even give you motion trails and lets you play with a couple parameters to change the game. Now it can run commands and edit files. Thus, hold on to your papers, fellow scholars, because if you ask it to create a Minecraft-like game, this is what happens. And at the end, you'll see the game, it has some obvious problems, but otherwise super impressive from just one tiny prompt. Everyone can become a coder. What a time to be alive! Okay, so how is this even possible? How does it do all this magic? Dear fellow scholars, this is 2-minute papers with Dr. Károly Zsolnai Fehér. Well, as far as we know, it uses fewer heads and more experts than DeepSeek. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it is a bit like a well-run hospital. It's less like one brilliant general doctor trying to diagnose everything, and more like a huge hospital that instantly routes you to the best specialist for your specific issue. What does that mean in practice?
I will fight the fight and win the war. Ribbons. 8 months, homie. I appreciate you very much. Stampy, do you appreciate ribbons? The disrespect.
More compute efficiency overall. Yes, fewer parameters are activated at the same time when you use it, and it works extremely well. However, wait, there is a trade-off here. As a result, it is a bit thin. On tough academic benchmarks like humanities last exam, 4.7% success rate. The thinking DeepSeek can get up to about 14%, while the best closed models are at 21 to 25%, with more results coming soon. Note that, of course, this is meant to be a relatively speedy model while being really smart, and it competes really well against those competitors. Plus, it offers really cheap pricing for API access. And it has
I mean, it's a cat, right? That's ultimately the pleasure and the problem of the cat, because a cat will do as it sees fit. Now, you get a dog. The dog is like, "Oh, well, you're the best, and you're amazing, and I want to." Oh, and the cat is gonna do cat shit.
a secret ace up its sleeve too. It uses something that they call the muon clip optimizer, which is more robust when building incredibly huge AI models than the previous Adam optimizer that basically everyone uses. It makes these training curves less spiky and behaves a bit like a surge protector to make sure there are fewer spikes here and that the curve does not blow up. What does that all mean? Well, Muon Clip is the surge protector that helps run this little hospital smoothly. This would be the 2-minute paper's explanation. And I think this idea might be one of the important puzzle pieces in training the largest AI models in the world. The link is in the description, try it out. Here you see me running the full DeepSeek AI model through Lambda GPU Cloud. 671 billion parameters, running super fast and super reliably. This is insane. I love it, and I use it on a regular basis. Lambda provides you with powerful NVIDIA GPUs to run your own
I didn't even realize we went right into an ad. What up, one guy?
chatbots and experiments. Seriously, try it out now at lambda.ai/papers or click the link in the description.
All right, so that's Chime K2. We are up to speed, and now we can get on with the rest of our shenanigans already in progress. And we're going to start off getting up to speed on Google OpenAI Chaos inside Windsurf's $3 billion deal implosion.
Windsurf is one of the most insane startup stories that I have run across in a couple of decades hanging out around Silicon Valley and tech. We are going to talk
What up, one grader?
about it, and we're going to start by telling you the story of Windsurf so you can get a sense of how long this saga has been going on. 2021, company was founded as Exafunction by MIT graduates Varun Mohan and Douglas Chen. The original focus was GPU optimization tools, so even then they were in the AI space. They then pivoted to AI coding assistants and launched Codium. 2024, they raised Series C. The valuation at the time was somewhere between 1.25 billion and 1.3 billion, and the total raised to
What up,
date
Larry?
is 243 million, almost $250 million. Investors at the time of the Series C include Founders Fund and Kleiner Perkins. Late in 2024, after the Series C, they had a major rebrand from Codium to Windsurf, and they launched.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Codium's a great name, and it there's all sorts of implications with Codium as a name, and Windsurf is what exactly?
An AI native development environment with the Cascade agent, intended to be a competitor to Cursor. Everyone was seeing Cursor take off. This was the point we were seeing Bolt take off. Lovable was starting to take off. Windsurf was positioned in that ecosystem as a full stack app builder. It had a free tier, and then it had a, I think, $15 per seat premium at the time versus Cursor's $20. They're clearly undercutting on price. 2025 is where things get interesting. In Q1, on March 11th, Windsurf.
Yeah, I can see that, Ribbons, right? It feels, at the very least, it feels more like vibe coding, yeah.
Achieves FedRAMP High certification, which, if you don't know what it is, count yourself blessed. It's the first AI coding tool to be approved for US government workloads. That's what FedRAMP High means. That gives it obviously a major leg up in regulated sectors. and it plans to take that all the way to the bank. Early in April, Windsurf hits reportedly $100 million in ARR, far behind Cursor, but still clearly in the number 2 position. It is the lift to the Uber played by Cursor. This is up from $40 million just a few months before, and they claim 1 million plus developers using the platform with 350 plus enterprise customers. One of the things I will call out here anecdotally is I hear Windsurf more with enterprise customers than I hear it with individual engineers. And I think that's a very interesting flip from Cursor, because Cursor I hear from engineers all the time. And I hear it as, yes, they're going to consider it, but it's not that surprising if you consider the ubiquitous number 1. Windsurf has better name recognition with decision makers and punches above its weight in decision making circles, and I think that's really interesting, and that will continue to play out as we continue the story here. April 16th, 2025, Bloomberg breaks the OpenAI acquisition news. The reported price, $3 billion, all cash deal. It would be OpenAI's largest acquisition ever. We are at a stage in AI and private companies where you can have multi-billion-dollar acquisitions by a startup of another startup. That is how big AI is right now. Obviously, if you're at Windsurf, you begin doing the math on your equity. You want to say, like, how much do I get? What is my vest date? Everyone goes and looks at their RSUs. I've done this sort of song and dance before. They do the math. They try and come up with something. I will tell you, as someone who has lived through these things a couple of times, do not do the math yourself. You will end up with a number that is by definition incorrect because you will forget the taxes or you will forget the...
Just in case they happen to be here, shout out to whoever went and got a everything is weird and unprecedented t-shirt off the Redbubble store. I appreciate you very much, and I hope you enjoy the shirt.
Fees, or you will forget the delay in the payout due to...
It is the one with the typo. Yes. It's the most popular one. I don't know what to do with that, and I left it up, and it's the one that sells the most. So you'll never figure out what's gonna go viral. You never figure out what's gonna be popular. The typo was not on purpose. It was absolutely not on purpose. I thought I did a really good job. The t-shirt hallucinated. And yeah, here we are.
To some sort of clause that they write into the contract. There are all kinds of ways to change the math that are legal. It is just, there's no point doing the math yourself. Just don't bother. Early May, the letter of intent is signed and the exclusive negotiation window begins. Internal memos at this point leak, showing that there's a plan to fold Windsurf into the ChatGPT dev suite. This is also when Anthropic is going to start withdrawing Claude from Windsurf, causing a lot of bad feelings from the developers.
Which Redbubble store? If you're watching on PC, it's in the down there part, and it's also shows up every so often from like Nightbot or Stream Elements or one of those. I like cats, but their independent nature makes them hard to train, which is a problem for someone with a disability. I'd have no real way to keep a cat from jumping onto things it shouldn't, and with all the electronics in my room, that could turn into a disaster. I feel you. I
was using Windsurf. I was a user of Windsurf at the time. I was very unhappy that Claude left, but I get it. If you have something called ChatGPT Dev Suite coming, the last thing you want is to let Claude's output tokens and Claude's data into that environment. Because really what you're doing when you're coding is you have an AI writing code and you have an engineer rewarding that one way or another.
This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe. Thank you for the follow.
They're telling the code output, hey model, great job on the code output. Good job, thumbs up, and then you have a reward signal, or hey, this didn't work, can you try it this way? And then you have a correction signal. Both are highly valuable signals if you are in the AI arms race, and Anthropic did not want those signals going to ChatGPT. So OpenAI reportedly agreed to definitive terms with Windsurf around this ChatGPT Dev Suite idea. May 6th, 2025, a definitive agreement is announced, which is a step beyond just the negotiation window and the letter of intent, a step beyond the reported price negotiated initially. The $3 billion price was confirmed again. This is a rare case where the price didn't change. And Windsurf employees rightly are celebrating at this point. They think they've got it made, but we aren't done yet. Early June, negotiations hit a major snag. Microsoft raises IP concerns under.
That is actually a good point. One guy, as far as training cats, such as you can train a cat, you can communicate with a cat. Cats, like if you go, if you give them a hiss, they understand exactly what you meant.
2023's agreement that OpenAI signed with Microsoft back when OpenAI had many fewer cards than it holds today, Microsoft has rights to all OpenAI tech, including acquisitions, and it looks like Satya Nadella played his hand. The rumor is that OpenAI did not want to give the IP for Windsurf to Microsoft. There has been, I don't want to call it a divorce, that sounds dramatic. There has been a soft separation between Microsoft.
What up, Maddie? I keep trying to stop my cat from clawing my grandmother's leg to get treats. Grandma cannot get it in her brain that she stop the cat. Yeah.
Soft and OpenAI. Let's use that term. Very polite. We're all adults here. And there has been a little bit of tension, and this is an example of that tension. Basically, OpenAI has become more powerful in the relationship since the agreement was signed. They're flexing their wings. In this case, they flexed their wings and said, you know what? We're acquiring Windsurf, and no, Microsoft, we don't want you to have the IP. And Satya basically said, talk to my Microsoft lawyers, which if you've ever talked with Microsoft lawyers, you don't want to do. So at the end of the day, Satya was right. Microsoft had legal rights. GitHub Copilot directly competes with Windsurf, and he was right to worry about it. And Microsoft refused to grant an exception to their IP rights. June 3, Anthropic formally restricts Windsurf's Claude access. This is during the OpenAI exclusivity period, and they are probably doing it to sort of see if they can scotch the deal in addition to the token impact that I discussed earlier. As Jared Kaplan put it, it would be odd for us to sell Claude to OpenAI. That's exactly sort of the frame that I made, but it's much more succinct. So this forces Windsurf users to migrate to competitors. Now you have a deal that isn't done yet, and you have users leaving the platform. Anthropic is quietly happy because OpenAI is kind of getting screwed on this deal. Mid to late June, things begin to unravel. OpenAI desperately attempts to restructure the deal. The Windsurf board begins to get worried about losing enterprise and government contracts as their core product starts to collapse because Claude is starting to pull out. Claude is, if you don't know, one of the best coding agents out there. The deal is effectively stalled. It's not publicly dead, and there's a difference there. July 11th, that was this Friday, 7 a.m. Pacific, the OpenAI exclusivity period officially expires. No renewal is announced, and the deal is confirmed to be under review, which is code for in trouble. By the morning, news breaks that the OpenAI deal has collapsed. Microsoft's IP issues are cited as the primary cause, although if you look into it and you look at Anthropic's power move, I would argue that's also a contributing factor. If you start to lose the most powerful coding agent, it's hard to make the case that you're a very powerful and $3 billion worth development platform. This underscores the tension between model makers and the tool layer right above them. The Information, which is a tech publication, now reports talks have ended on tech sharing concerns. By 3 p.m. that day, Friday, July 11th, Google has announced a $2.4 billion deal. They got on the phone right away. They structure a reverse acqui-hire with a licensing deal. Now, I have wondered whether this is effectively a way to get around FTC examination of the deal because it's not technically an acquisition. It is a very unusual acquisition format that isn't an acquisition because it's an acqui-hire. They do not acquire the company. Instead, they hire the CEO, Varun Mohan, and the co-founder, Douglas Chen, and about 40 of the best engineers, R&D employees. They all get paid bank. They split between them $2.4 billion just for the talent and a non-exclusive license to Windsurf's tech. Non-exclusive, you understand. Mostly that is $2.4 billion for 42 people. That's a good deal. Like, divide out those numbers. That is a good deal. The remaining 250,000 employees, the remaining 250 employees are not included in this deal, don't know about this deal, aren't participating in this deal. Their equity is more or less worthless because what they get is $100 million in remaining cash in the company, and they don't have the option to compete on their tech exclusively because Google can now license their tech. And
it's shady as fuck. But this is the game, and it's not illegal, right? It sounds like it's good for everybody except the 250 employees who are left holding, a company that's, I don't know what it's worth, right? Doesn't sound like it's great for them, but maybe it is, right? Maybe they can still turn Windsurf into something. Maybe it'll go back to being Codium.
They don't have their best R&D employees. They don't have their founders, and they are left screwed, for lack of a better term. Now, I will say not everyone views it that way. I thought that engineering maven, Gurgly Orosh, had a really good point when he said, honestly, as bad as it may be if you're in it, the outcome for Windsurf across the board is better than most startup outcomes. And he is right. Most startup outcomes, 90% plus, go to the wall. They fail. The startup equity is worth zero. The fact that you got paid and that some of your employees and your founders got something is still better than the zero outcome you would expect on most startups. That may be true, but I think what Gurgly misses is the trust-breaking nature of this choice. There has been an implicit contract in the Valley where founders are in it for the long haul with their companies. If that starts to break down because the AI salary pressures are so insane that it is better.
That started to break down with Mustafa Suleiman, right? Remember, Microsoft did the acquire, hire, fucking will take everything but the kitchen sink and the copper move against Pi, right? Like what was that company? Begins with an I, Inflection, right? They basically bought Inflection in that way, but were able to do it without having to go through any of the normal processes. And that was like over a year ago. So yeah, this I it's gonna be a bloodbath out there.
To be an employee than to be a founder at a major R&D firm like Google.
But again, remember, AI is just a bubble. It's going to burst any day now. It doesn't actually have any real value. Something, other words to make people feel happy about the fact that, like, I don't know what to tell you.
For AI, we have cracks in the Silicon Valley ecosystem. It does not sit well with me that a founder would be rewarded for walking away from their startup and leaving their employees in the lurch. So as much as I agree with Gurgly that on paper this is better than the outcome the company could have had, I don't think it is a good thing that builds trust in the ecosystem long term. I think it's negative for the ecosystem. I don't think Google did a service to the Valley here. And I get maybe why they felt they had to do it, because Google, unlike smaller startups like OpenAI, would not be under FTC scrutiny the way that Google is. And so Google had to tread very carefully. And that may be part of why the acqui-hire deal happened. But we aren't done yet. By the evening, Logan at Google, Logan Kilpatrick, tweets a welcome, and everything is official, Controversy.
I can just imagine the ooze coming out of fucking Ed Zitron's ears as he tries to fucking just, oh my god, dude, oh my god. Ed Zitron is such a charlatan. I don't even understand.
Controversy starts to explode. Details of the structure leak on July 12th, Saturday. The 2.4 billion leaks. Vested employees got cash payouts. Employees with less than 12 months tenure get nothing.
I know, Maddie, and I'm yelling at you to go see someone about that. If you go deaf, then you won't be able to hear my voice. And if you can't hear my voice, it'll make me sad. So don't make me sad. You have? And you're still dealing with it? Jesus, criminy. Haven't given you antibiotics or something? I like the way that I heard somebody British call them antibiotics, and I've adopted that.
Which is actually very typical in startups. And the remaining company has no core team, which I discussed. In the afternoon on Saturday, it's announced that Jeff Wang will be the interim CEO. The company states their SaaS focus will continue and emphasizes the Google license is non-exclusive. Social media explodes. Lot of commentary on employees counting out sort of their rewards they were going to get and then getting nothing. Channel partners begin to pull support for Windsurf. Hashtag Windsurf betrayal starts to trend. By July 13th, Sunday, more internal details leak. Apparently, there was a rambling CEO Zoom speech announcing the deal. Employee anger begins to peak. By the afternoon, industry analysts are weighing in predictions of bankruptcy within 12 months. Remaining company called a zombie. Enterprise customers advised to migrate. This is all very bad if you are still at Windsurf, right? For the 250 employees, this has been a weekend from hell. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I would not want to be you guys. I am hoping that you are in a better spot now, and we're going to get to why. July 14th, Monday, Cognition Labs, the makers of Devon, announced an acquisition of the remaining parts of Windsurf. This includes their IP, their product, their trademark, their brand, their training data, and all remaining 250 employees.
This is what I'm saying. Like, the drama. I'm not here for the drama, but the drama. Oh, it's so. Oh, if you like drama, watch the AI show, dude.
Key difference here is there is 100% employee financial participation, full vesting, acceleration, and waived cliffs. In other words, Cognition Labs saw what Google did and said, we have an opportunity to step in as the good guy here. We can be the good guy. We will acquire Windsurf. We will bring everybody aboard. It doesn't matter whether you vested or not, if you've worked less than a year or not, which, by the way, when you're in a startup and it's hiring like on a power law like this, most of your employees, by definition, are less than a year in because you're hiring so fast. So I would expect from most of these employees, waiving the cliff was a big deal. Essentially, Cognition Labs makes them whole where Google screwed them over. And it's a nice move for them because they're basically saying we have an agentic developer in Devon. Now we have tools for a development environment in Windsurf. In theory, if they can get themselves sorted out, they still have that FedRAMP High certification, which could get Devon into government work. There's some upside here for Cognition. It wasn't just that they were being charitable. Now, of course, the pricing isn't disclosed. I can't imagine it was $3 billion, not least because Cognition doesn't have the money that OpenAI had. By afternoon, more conflicting reports start to surface. Windsurf reposts the Cognition announcement. The show is going on. Cognition emphasizes that we're friends with Anthropic again, meaning that they think they're going to be able to get Claude back into Windsurf to revive it. We will have to see how this all goes. At the end of the day, I want to draw a couple of lessons. One, this is underscoring the skewed nature of the talent wars and the power law for talent wars in Silicon Valley in a way I have never seen before. If you can pay a founder who is already a multimillionaire so much money that that founder finds it worthwhile to abandon their fiduciary responsibilities to their company, potentially expose themselves to a lawsuit, because there's some board level responsibility here to work at the best interest of the company. And it's arguably not the best interest of the company to walk away from the company and join Google for millions of dollars. So they're exposing themselves to that. And on top of that, they are frankly breaking a code of honor in the Valley that has been true for decades. That's still worth it to them because Google's paying them so much. And that underscores how massive these pay packages are. Over like a weekend ago, Zuck got I think the head of AI at Apple, which I don't know why you would go to Apple for that, but he got the head of AI at Apple for $200 million, which is more than Tim Cook at Apple makes, I think, depending on how you count the equity vesting. Anyway, it's a ton of money.
What up, Reed?
Money. When you make that much, you break the usual incentives in the Valley. If you can be a $200 million employee, why would you ever found? And I think that we are starting to see some of that dislocation. The second thing that I want to call out is that there is massive dislocation in the tool layer, and that we should view coding agents, the coding environment, as the tip of the iceberg for the disruption that model makers can pose. Because at the end of the day, if you are a model maker and you believe good models will get better over time, you should be able to eat more and more of workflows over time just by delivering good models. And you can do something like, I don't know, Claude Code, which is frankly just a terminal, and compete with Cursor. You're going to eat some of these tools for lunch over time, and you kind of don't care. And so we are seeing this tectonic struggle between the tool makers that are trying to build on top of this model maker tech and the model makers who are really incentivized to grab as much territory as they can. Model makers hold the cards here, as you saw with Claude cutting off access to Windsurf, but they don't hold all the cards. And so one of the things that's super interesting,
I wonder what Chime K2 is going to do to this situation, right? If Chime is as good as some people claim, and it turns out to be like, a solid competitor to Anthropic, then what does that mean, right? Like, the wild AI summer.
about this dynamic is that it's sort of a 2/3, 1/3 situation where you might say that 2/3 of the power sits with the model makers, but the tool layer has 1/3 of the power. At the end of the day, Windsurf still got acquired. They're still going to be a viable company. The FedRAMP High certification did not go to Claude Code. It went to Windsurf. And so tool makers are still going to get their day in the sun. They're still going to get their dollars. But the way they negotiate the relationship with model makers is going to continue to be fraught, because the model makers have a lot of incentives to make sure that their models continue to get better. And the tool makers are going to have to negotiate those incentives while still serving customers. And that's sort of the story. That tension is the story of Windsurf over the last couple of months. The third thing I want to call out is that we are going to...
It really, Ben, and it's somewhat novel, right? Because not only is there competition between like Google and Microsoft and OpenAI and Anthropic, but there's also people making open source tools. And open source tools, like you can make the argument that you had, Windows and you have Mac OS and then you have Linux, right? In all of its multitude of forms. And other than the people who are like into Linux, nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. People do Windows, people do Mac, right? Apple or what have you. But here you have people who are not, like whatever the Linux tier of AI would be. They're just regular folks, right? Like DeepSeek proved that. Just random people who use AI will jump on that DeepSeek model because they think it's cute the way that it talks to itself. Only Linux exists, as you say. No, it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
see more and more agents
as you say, Hydron.
in code. And again, that is a cutting edge tip of the spear for where we will see them other places. The reason code is leading the way here is because code is easy to reward. Code runs or it doesn't. It's easy for model makers to figure out whether their code worked or it didn't. And that's true for development environments. It's true if you launch your own agent. Cursor recently launched their own model that codes. And it's true if you have an agent that runs on code. All of the stuff we're seeing in the development environment now, this whole conversation around Windsurf, is an early indicator of where the rest of the industry is going because it's an easier problem for AI to solve. When you think about the next 12 to 15 to 18 months, Devin acquiring Windsurf means more work on agents in code. It means the agentic agenda, for lack of a better term, not that it's a secret cabal, but the agentic goal of like getting AI agents with tools and policy and guidance to actually do important coding work, that is moving forward. Devin is, I would expect, going to be fully integrated into Windsurf, and we're going to see more of this hybridized motion where you have both a development environment and an agent management environment for engineers in the same place. Cursor is heavily going that way as well. That is going to lead to new surfaces, new experiences. The mobile environment has become a much bigger deal for developers than it ever was. It used to be you could just build for the desktop because always developers would be on the desktop. Not anymore. If you're running agents, you can be on your mobile. There's a lot of really weird implications.
What can I say, Ribbons? Like, again, I don't argue with people. I just point to the things and I give you all the information that I have. Like, like it's just the same info, and these are the conclusions. Right? And y'all do what y'all are gonna do. And if you agree with my conclusions, cool. And if you disagree with my conclusions, cool.
And that's very typical of what happens when you have an underlying technology shift like we are all living through right now. Fundamentally, the story of Windsurf is the story of the evolution of LLMs from being just...
I use both, right? I use both on my phone and on the PC. Depends where I am. So, like, I use it in relatively the same way. If I'm doing a lot of copying and pasting and things like that, I tend to use the PC. But if I'm using like just more out and about stuff, then I just throw it on the phone, right? Like, I like the easy transition between the two.
Sort of auto-completes for coders to being genuine coding agents to being genuine assistants in code. And what happens when valuations start to shake loose at that point? That's why OpenAI went for Windsurf in the first place. That's why they got the FedRAMP High certification. That's why Devin went for them. And that is also why that tech is why Google needed them, because Google...
Yeah, and I wouldn't like try to vibe code or anything like that on my phone, right? Like I would want to do it at the PC. So it's, it's a use case, right? What's your use case?
Doesn't have a development environment that is popular with...
Yes, and that's a huge thing. The ability to just talk is, I think, a lot easier to do on the phone than it is. And that's why, again, transition back and forth as your use case.
Developers, and if they're going to get Gemini to win long term, they need it. So that's the...
Up next, since we've been doing some heady stuff, and in an attempt to like balance the channel a little more, we're gonna hear from known AI enjoyer, understander, Temple.
Story of Windsurf. I am sure there will be more to the story. It's been one of the most eventful of the last couple of decades, I would say. And I'm curious, what do you think you would do in Windsurf's shoes?
And so begins Industrial Revolution 2.0. And you know what this means? It means you're going to get fired and replaced by a robot. I love this story. I mean, it's a...
Tim's a dipshit. Tim's already a dipshit. It's a perfect pause face for Tim. This right here, this is Tim.
Apocalyptic. It's also kind of hilarious. Candy Crush developers set to be laid off by Microsoft are reportedly being replaced by the AI tools they were told to build. You know, it's always funny when you get the, here's a new employee, please train them. They're trained, okay, you're fired. Here's the replacement. Or when they outright tell you, we're letting you go. Can you train your replacements? It's like, is there something wrong with me? It's your attitude. Here, Microsoft is basically like, can you please build an AI that knows how to code and then we'll get rid of you and have the robot do it? Welcome to the end of days, my friends. I mean, it's not really the end of days. I don't know where this goes, but...
What a big room.
It is upon us.
It is like... I'm sorry, I don't really care about Tim Pool's private life, but when it comes to whether or not he actually is having a child or had a child or wherever he is in that particular project, I kind of want to see a paternity test. I would like to see some proof because I ain't buying it. Oh, he definitely is a child. What up, Ivan? He definitely is a child.
From WCCF Tech, a new report from MobileGamer.biz claims 200 developers at Candy Crush Studio King are at risk of being laid off as part of Microsoft's latest mass layoffs and will be replaced by the AI tools they were told to build. I mean, to be honest, if I hired an engineer to build me a robot, if I said, like, I need I need a machine that can drive stakes into the ground. It's like, well, then the guy who normally comes in with the sledgehammer and the stakes is fired. So if I ask him, can you build me a machine that can do it? Yes, I pay them one time. They leave. That's the end of story. I need the machine. I don't need you. King is the mobile division of Activision Blizzard King. Wow, what? And arguably was the most was the...
Oh, what is that? Oh, Tim. Tim just had a moment.
Division was arguably was the division out of Microsoft's ABK acquisition
What up,
that its gaming team needed the most. Since Microsoft lacked any presence in the mobile gaming industry, buying the studio that makes Candy Crush one of the biggest and most well-known mobile games around the world changed that overnight. But as it's been reported multiple times, Microsoft's cuts are allegedly not concerned with anything beyond the company wanting to get ahead and stay ahead in the AI race. Now this report from MobileGamer.biz shows the inevitable endgame that every bean counter pushing AI and generative AI tools has in mind being put into practice. That every part of the job they currently pay people to do can be replaced by an AI bot. Quote,
now, some people will tell you that the AI can't replace people. Some people will tell you that the bubble is going to burst. Some people will tell you, and it's not real AI. To all of those people, I say, cool beans. People are losing their jobs. AI appears to be able to do some coding. And if it ain't real AI to you, at what point does that matter, actually? Right? Okay, it's not AI. It's whatever. It's advanced machine learning. It's fucking, I don't know. It's just a predictive model fucking thingy, right? Does that change anything though? Right? Does calling it by a different fucking name prevent it from eating all the jobs?
Most of level design has been wiped, which is crazy since they've spent months building tools to craft levels quicker. Now those AI tools are basically replacing teams. Similarly, the copywriting team is completely removing people since we now have the AI tools those individuals have been creating. The report also adds that certain employees are being targeted and getting laid off for arbitrary reasons, with the source claiming that people who have been vocally speaking out against decisions made by leadership are now set to lose their jobs. A different source in the report claims that the HR department at King is an absolute issue and has been for years, an extreme example of an HR department whose role it is to protect the company, not the staff.
Coward. I get it, right? Because I probably get bombed in the algorithm for the profanity that comes out of my What about free speech, Timmy?
The end game, of course, my friends, is going to be some kind of socialist universal basic income. That's my prediction based on this. Why?
What up, Samson? This is twice. This is twice. This is twice in 2 videos where Tim has said something that I can't fucking argue with.
What they're going to do, you're going to have companies where they don't have employees. So I mentioned this before. I got a little golf game on my phone. I don't really play it that much anymore, but it's fun. It got a little golf course. Maybe you've played it, and there's like a little golf ball, and then you touch the golf ball, and you drag back, and a little line appears, and you let go, and the ball goes flying in the air. You can purchase.
It's like when a child tells you about the favorite game that they have and asks if it is on your phone. Nice job, Timmy.
Just power-ups. That's right. For only $1, you can get the enhanced tracker and see exactly where the ball will land so that you can get a hole-in-one. Now, the funny thing about that is, what am I buying? Like, it's an on-off switch. I'm paying you $1 to turn a switch on and then turn it off for a game that accomplishes literal nothing. How will this system survive? A large portion of our economy, it's called the attention economy. That is mobile games and content like this. I am rewarded heavily for being someone with a lot of opinions and who complains quite a bit. Okay, to be fair, it's because people find the content entertaining.
Wow. Rock on, Tim.
At its bare minimum, people are willing to watch it. Maybe it's because it's informative and that's good. Maybe you don't even like me. You hate me and you want to watch and just go, ooh, I hate that Tim Pool. Either way.
Unfortunately, that's where I am today.
I have your attention and I appreciate it. And the longer I have your attention, the more money they give me. Literally, it's, ads play and then I'll make money off ads. That's why I much prefer become a member at timcast.com to join our Discord server or buy tickets to our DC Comic.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what the Timcast Discord server is like? That has to be a place. Oh.
Comedy Loft event. That's much more meaningful to me. Like, we actually build community, but I digress. What's going to happen based off this stuff? My prediction. And it's only one prediction excluding all other variables, so it's probably wrong. However, based on what we're reading here, imagine this scenario. You've got a company that's got millions of users that play this game.
Ribbons, I bet that if you were to join the Timcast Discord server and then take that shower, that would be more showers than have ever existed within the Timcast Discord server.
They're spending money on this game, but they don't have jobs. How can this company exist if there's no people with money to pay for the... You need economic activity to sustain an economy, right?
Yep.
If one person owns everything and everything is produced by robots, nobody is doing any work, nobody will have money, so what do? Right now, we have a hybrid system where the people who don't work, they get your tax revenue while you do work. So we got all of...
I mean, that's fair, right? Like, I mean, fucking Jeffy went off to Italy and spent billions of dollars renting or trying to rent fucking Venice. And Elon's out there fucking typing with his thumbs, talking all sorts of shit. And so on and so on, right? All the people who don't work, they collect our tax dollars. Elon's built an entire fucking empire off collecting our tax dollars. Fair.
us doing work. It is the top, I think, 20% that are paying all of the taxes. I know people are saying, I pay taxes every year, Tim. That's not true, but you're not a net taxpayer. It is only, I think, the top 20% that are paying more in taxes than benefits they receive, meaning...
Citation needed.
If you're paying like $20,000 a year in taxes, you are getting more labor than you are putting into the system. This has one inevitable outcome. A company will be run, its profits will be taxed, those taxes will be redistributed to people to choose which companies have their attention. That's how weird it's going to be. So there will be haves and have-nots, and the only outcome I see is everybody being on some kind of welfare. Because again, with AI tools and an attention economy, you don't have anyone doing work. In fact, this video right now, here's the scary thing. I can go on ChatGPT. I'm going to do it. I've done this before. I'm going to do it again. Pull up ChatGPT and say, write a script as if you were Tim Pool making a 10-minute long...
There's a joke here about how, you know, like AI sucks and Tim Pool scripts could be done right out of ChatGPT that I can make because, you know.
YouTube video about how AI was taking over industry, and it's a second industrial revolution. Who needs me? What am I going to do? So it's going to be, do you own intellectual property? And that's going to be vague and nebulous. Oh, it did it. Here's a YouTube video script written in the voice and style of Tim Pool for a 10-minute segment titled, The AI Takeover is Here. Welcome to the Second Industrial Revolution. Hey, that's not a bad title. I guess. It's not, it really does feel like it's not written like me all that well, but we're getting there. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Tim Pool here. I never say that. I never introduce myself. This is one big, like really big. We are watching the rise of artificial intelligence. I'm not talking about sci-fi robots or some distant future. I'm talking about right now. AI is taking over industries at a speed that even the so-called experts didn't.
Like there was a little bit at the beginning where he is like, you know, I never introduced myself. And then shortly thereafter, he just starts reading the script and he's like into it and it's hitting his beats and everything else. So
predict. It's not hype. It's not speculation. This is the second industrial revolution, and the elites, they know it. And they're moving fast to capitalize, while the rest of us, we're being left in the dust. Let's break this down. In the past year, not decade, not 5, 1 year, we've seen generative AI explode. We're talking about ChatGPT, Midjourney, Claude, Gemini, all of it. These tools can write articles, generate legal briefs, produce music, make videos, and even write code better than a lot of junior developers out there. Companies are slashing costs. Why hire 10 copywriters when one AI can do the same job in 5 seconds? Why pay for a graphic designer when Midjourney spits out 20 logo options in under a minute? Let's be real, it's only the beginning. Why actually turn on the YouTube video and watch Tim Pool opine about things when perhaps I'm just reading a script pretending to be me? What is this error? Uh-oh, it broke. You're watching entire sectors start to collapse.
ChatGPT could handle only so much being Tim Pool before it had a problem.
Call centers, AI. Entry-level coders, AI. Even journalism, yes, my industry is getting eaten alive. News outlets are using AI to write breaking news before a human even finishes their coffee. Artists are pissed. Musicians are suing. Hollywood is scrambling because AI can deepfake actors, generate scripts. And if you think your job is safe just because it's creative or unique, I got bad news for you. And that says error. Error in message stream. And now it's going to try again. That's funny. All of that.
I got bad news for you. And somebody pulled the plug on the Tim Pool GPT. Oh, what's in the box? Oh.
Was just written by, and now I will say the AI doesn't really understand who I am. I never introduce myself like that. But holy crap, it is a weird, insane world right now. Dude, this is the craziest thing. I can hire a great video editor, and I can say right now, we want to make a mini document.
Again, I know, yes, I don't disagree, Larry, but in this case, other than that one point, everything else. Now, it helped that it was Tim Pool reading the Tim Pool script, but that sounds like some shit that Tim Pool would fucking say. What up, Cosmic? You missed, we talked again about Kimmy K2, and we went over what happened with windsurf. And now we're listening to Tim replace himself with ChatGPT.
Like a 10-minute long video that addresses a certain issue. Maybe we do shorts. I can just have ChatGPT write the script like that.
Yep.
Just like that. These points are not bad points, right? It's basically what I'm saying, and it's all written out. I mean, like I'll pull it up. I got it right here. He wrote a new script and said that.
He wrote another one. Tim Pool to camera. Stampy is good. He had some snacks and got some scritches and then left.
It was an error. Write a script as if you were Tim Pool making a 10-minute long YouTube video about how AI is taking over the industry and it's a second industrial revolution. Oh no, it got rid of that title that I liked. We're in the middle of the second industrial revolution. Where is it? Tim talk to camera, graphic, jobs. You know what's the funny thing is it doesn't really know who I am. It doesn't really understand that the way I do my videos is browser, news articles, and then, you know, a image of me as I talk. It's treating it like a generic.
The homie Nabil. What up, homie?
Generic YouTube style video. And what are politicians doing? Quote graphic, Elon Musk, AI will be smarter than humans by 2029. Here's the crazy thing about all of this that I'm Tim to camera. So what do we do? First, people need to wake up. This is not 5 years away. This is now. Second, we need to think.
We're listening to Tim Pool replace himself with ChatGPT in real time. In real time. This is actually happening.
We need to rethink education fast because learning how to do something that AI does better is pointless. Third, and I know it's controversial, we're going to have to talk about universal basic income or some kind of safety net. Isn't that crazy? I was actually talking about that. Not that I'm a fan of that system. I think that's destructive to the human psyche.
Avalon?
But it's doing it. Someone's going to, I tell you, I swear, they're already doing this. You can just take any one of the videos I've made. There's more than enough videos of me flamboyantly waving my arms in the air and complaining about something to AI generate an entirely fake Tim Pool video. Now,
because he has ChatGPT to make a script for the Tim Pool show, and it did, and it sounds like Tim Pool, and it's like there's going to come the dawning realization for Tim Pool that he doesn't have to show up for the job anymore, right? Between VO3 and like and it's not like he's that deep, man. You know, once you get the basic flavor of how he talks. What up, Senator? I'd like him not to show up. I would too.
A lot of people probably don't care. I don't know, whatever. cut to robot surgeon video. Tim, conclusion, this is the second industrial revolution, and the elites are hoping you don't notice. They're investing, consolidating, automating, and most people are still scrolling through TikTok thinking everything's fine, but it's not. The next 5 years will determine whether we thrive or whether we will fall into chaos. And if we don't talk about it right now, it's going to be too late.
I will give Tim this. He is good at reading a live script, right? Like, he only changed a couple of words and they're barely like noticeable within the thing. And he didn't fumble it. And that can be challenging, right? So I will give Tim this.
You agree with that? Outro music. I don't even have outro music. We tried it out for like a month and then stopped doing it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you think. If we're heading... This honestly does videos better than me. I never...
GG's, everybody.
Never say this stuff, right? You know, it's like... I got... YouTube analytics shows me that there's between 3 and 4 million people who watch this channel on a regular basis. And I got 1.8 million subscribers. Like, I'm not even as good as ChatGPT. It's doing better than me already. We're so cooked, man. I'm going to fire myself and hire AI to do my job for me. Think about how crazy that is. This morning show, as insane as it is, could be completely run by AI. Maybe right now, like one person, but I'll let you in on a secret. I actually talked to I've told this story before. There's a prominent person in news media who went through 3D body scans because they're writing a program where they will just tell GPT to write a script about, like, they'll grab 2 news articles, New York Times and CNN, load them in, and then say, write a...
There are gold sneakers on the wall there, and I don't know how many gold sneakers exist in the world, Ivan, so...
Script for news personality, and then when they take that script, they can plug it in, and it will AI generate that person talking. He doesn't even need to do the job anymore. I don't know if they have that done yet, but I had a private discussion with this person. People might say, like, say what is I don't know. If it becomes news relevant, it's someone's private endeavors, and I don't know if they're actually going to do it, if they're, you know, it is what it is. It's just the stuff that I've been hearing. My friends, this is a second industrial revolution. It is. And it's going to be weirder than you realize.
For what it's worth, a lot of the people who talk, like, you know, people who went to school, when they talk about this, they refer to it as the 4th industrial revolution, because there have been others, including the internet. Internet was 3 and AI is 4.
And I keep hearing from these people saying it can never be as creative. I mean, are you kidding me? Look at this. First of all, my outros.
Low bar. Let's ask the AI. Some people refer to AI as the 4th industrial revolution. What are the 4 industrial revolution in this scenario? Question. If you want to shit on AI for being bad at mimicking your style, cool, but you then can't be mad when someone wants to prove you wrong by putting effort in. You can, in fact, Larry. That's the fun thing. You actually can just be mad about whatever you want, and the justification is, I want to be mad. Accountability is not something that we do anymore. No one has to self-reflect. No one actually has to answer for the words they say or the actions that they take. They can just come on the internet and pop the fuck off. All right, so first industrial revolution is late 18th to early 19th century. Steam engine, spinning jenny, power loom. Second industrial revolution, late 19th to early 20th. Bessemer process for mass producing steel. Discovery and application of electricity, gas, and oil central to that revolution. Third is the digital revolution, the semiconductor, transistor, integrated circuit, computers, telecommunications, and the beginnings of automation through programmable logic controllers. And then finally, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, big data, robotics, 3D printing, and biotechnology. So those are the four industrial revolutions. And there's links, right? Georgetown University, Khan Academy, thewaves.org, the World Economic Forum, right? Wikipedia. What I like is if you hover over the link, I don't know if you can see it. You see how that couple sentences are blinking, or that one sentence is blinking? That sentence is quoted directly from Wikipedia. But again, tell me about how AI hallucinates all the time and isn't useful for anything, and et cetera, et cetera. Cool beans.
Suck. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment, like, and share the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you think. Are we heading to a utopia or something way darker? Stay tuned, and I'll see you all next time. I mean, that's pretty good because it's people commenting generates debate. And what really makes a YouTube channel thrive is community. So if y'all are arguing with each other in the comments and the comments skyrocket, YouTube's like, people are really engaging with this. It works.
That's an interesting definition of community. People arguing in the comments. I guess it is a community.
That's what it's all about. Community around central ideas. And can an individual be the focus of those ideas? And then it's like, subscribe. I never say subscribe. Man, I got to do that. Jeez. It is creepy how good this stuff is. I mean, it's crazy because like this right here, I completely agree with it. It nails it. Want a thumbnail or description?
Like, subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified. If you enjoy the content on this channel, and you're currently watching this on YouTube, you should definitely like, subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified, and feel free to argue down in the comments. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm right. Tell me why the other people in the comments are wrong and right. We definitely appreciate that kind of community here on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, it's only $5.99 or free with a Twitch Prime. Subscribe and support the channel. If you're not following already, you should hit that follow button because follows are free.
To go with this? I mean, I do, but because I don't trust ChatGPT to make something that's not going to be gross, I'll just put, yes, make the thumbnail. I bet the thumbnail will be the stupidest.
Allow 6 to 8 weeks for delivery, void where prohibited, and George Carlin had a really good bit.
Image you've ever seen, and you'll be like, I ain't clicking on that. Dude, we did a test once last week where I asked ChatGPT to make a thumbnail, and the video did worse than any video I've ever done. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that doesn't work. All right, it's going to AI generate an image. I kind of want to wait to see what it is. Smash the like button, share the show, subscribe right now if you haven't already. Tell everybody, subscribe. Nobody subscribes. Not like subscribers matter. I guess they kind of do. For whatever reason, though, despite having a really high unique viewer.
Hey, fuck Tim Pool. Subscribers matter. If you're watching this on YouTube and you subscribe to that channel, you fucking matter. I appreciate, what are we up at? Like 187, I think, 187 on them. I appreciate every 187 of you.
Count, I think it's true for every channel. People just don't subscribe to channels. So YouTube's just largely doing a recommendation algorithm, I guess. But, you know, subscribe. Maybe if everybody subscribed, maybe if I told people in the beginning, subscribe to this channel and did like a quick intro, maybe my channel would be doing a lot better. I don't know. All I know is I'm some guy who turns the camera on and just
What up,
says
X1011?
things that come straight to my, what is this?
It's community, though, right? In Tim's definition of community, it's also Russian bot farms arguing with the people in the comments.
It's making a thumbnail. It looks terrible. Oh no, is it going to be me? Or is it going to be some weird creepo that doesn't really look like me? Okay.
Why not both? It both looks like you and is a weird creepo.
It kind of looks like me. I don't think I look that old or fat. The beanie's a little small and tight, but, you know, I think you know what it is? I gain and lose weight so often that, like, it doesn't know how fat or thin I actually am based on everything it's seen. You go back a couple years and I'm, like, big, and then I get thin, and I get a little fatter and a little thinner, depending on, like... I've been injured a little bit. I had a strained muscle in my calf, so I didn't skate for, like, a month. But, so, I don't know. But there you go. That is the worst thumbnail I've ever seen, and no one is going to click on it. I'm going to...
It's the thumbnail that he used for the video.
A/B test this video. That means YouTube allows you to do something called A/B testing, where you can choose two different thumbnails, and then some people will see one, some will see the other. I'm going to use this
I got algorithmed, apparently.
ridiculously bad image. And I'm going to see what happens. I'm out. Okay. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Welcome to the revolution. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. We got more stuff coming.
Blah, 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 blah. This also looks like an AI image. Let me know when your beard grows in there, buddy. Up next.
A couple years ago, I had a novel idea.
Should we feel guilty? Should we feel guilty for using AI?
What if I create a LinkedIn account that only posts AI-generated content? That's right. I was doing AI slop before it was cool. Now, this was back in the olden days where image models were doing like 8, 9 fingers a hand, and if you asked ChatGPT anything about math, the whole computer would explode. So I was working with sticks and stones over here. But I used ChatGPT to generate the posts, I used DALL-E to generate the images, I even used this AI app to AI generate myself into a man. And at the time, I didn't really even think about any moral or ethical implications. Like, I had some hazy idea in the back of my head that this was maybe bad for the environment, but I still kind of thought AI was sort of a trend or a gimmick. I didn't think it would be like society upending or anything. And plus, the specific things that I was posting were so ridiculous, I felt like nobody would actually believe them. And then I started getting recruiter DMs. Now, I do not know what it was about the ridiculous AI posts that I was making that resulted in getting an aggressive number of inbounds from meta recruiters. But I will say, on my real LinkedIn, I have a pretty good resume. I'm a senior engineer at a FANG company.
The fact that it was meta recruiters, I think, just reinforces the that Zucky doesn't know what they're doing.
That's pretty good, right? Wrong. I was never receiving the number of messages as when I was Burt Burkle with a profile picture that said open to wife. Anyway, at that point, I did start to feel a little guilty. I didn't want to waste anybody's time, so I ended up deleting the account, even though I kind of felt like in the back of my head, the recruiter should be able to tell that something was a little bit off. And after that experience, when I would see more advanced iterations of AI slop, I would kind of feel the same way.
Done, Larry. You can have the entire channel for $90 million. I'll take it right now.
Like, okay, this is kind of bad, but at least you can tell, right? And then VO3 came out. And then those prompt theory videos came out.
You heard about the prompt theory going viral on TikTok?
Prompt theory? No, what's that?
The theory claims we're all just AI.
AI? No, I'm a Taurus.
And two things started to happen. One, I kind of stopped being able
That's got to be my favorite. AI? No, I'm a Taurus.
to tell. And two, I kind of liked some of the AI generated content. And before you cancel me for liking AI slop videos, I am not talking about those weird animal dancing videos. I am talking about the cloud.
Samson's, whose lawyer are you? I thought you were my attorney. You could have gotten a third. And instead...
cloud cutting videos, the impossible keyboard videos, the glass fruit videos. Unfortunately, those AI ASMR videos just hit. But the result of all of this is that I can't in good conscience dismiss a lot of these AI use cases anymore. I can't say all AI content is soulless slop anymore because sometimes it's kind of good. And I can't say that all AI coding tools are bad because they're not anymore. So now more than ever, I feel like I have to grapple with the ethical implications of this. There's this tool upending our world, taking our jobs, and worst of all,
I haven't watched any of the ASMR AI glass fruit cutting videos. I briefly saw a short that, so like maybe 3-4 seconds of it, but like I glanced and then I looked away. I just haven't watched them.
putting itself on our TikTok feeds. And I'm not the only one who
What up,
thinks
walking
this. The
stick?
comment section of the AI glass fruit cutting videos has become a full-blown war. Some people are saying this is the perfect use for AI, while some are saying consuming any AI content like this is unethical. So let's dig into this. I want to start by actually looking at individual AI use cases and deciding if each of them is more on the benign side or something worthy of feeling guilty over. So I'm going to create a classic YouTube tier list here, and the top, the S tier, is going to be the most evil, the things that you should feel the most guilty about if you're doing, and the bottom is going to be mostly
Wouldn't it make more sense if it was inverse? Right? The S tier stuff is the stuff that would be like kind of fine, or maybe even good. But like the evil stuff would be F tier. I mean, that's, as far as I understand, that's how I need T1, I need Kel thickness, I need tier list OGs to no, let's do it backwards.
benign, probably fine. So let's start with what we've already been talking about.
Let's.
The AI ASMR videos, the glass fruit cutting videos, the impossible keyboard videos, and I'm also gonna lump this in with like the dogs working at McDonald's videos, if you've seen those. Basically anything.
No, those are two separate types of videos. But go ahead, do you, boo.
Fantastical that a human couldn't actually film and create without CGI. I'm gonna go D tier for this one because this is actually a novel thing we're getting from AI. Like I said, humans can't actually produce this. I'm sure there is a way to do this with CGI, but it would require a ton of man hours. And yes, I do know that there's a subgenre of
Welcome to the point. Welcome to the entire point of why people use AI to create things. Now, you may argue about the quality of, the glass cutting ASMR or the fucking dog flipping burgers. You can I'm with you, right? But yeah, most people don't have the high-end computer and the 10,000 hours of experience to create high-end video of that quality.
people where they are actually trying to recreate some of these fantastical AI videos. This is a recreation of the cloud cutting video, for example. However,
Right, and this is what I love about humans, is that when confronted by AI creating stuff, they they train themselves on the AI to make something funny. It's funny, right? It's funny.
It's not the same thing.
It's-
This is also
it's
like
not
not
the-
misleading
that's-
anybody. I don't think anybody thinks these are real. And if they do, like, so what? That won't really affect anything tangible in your life. But of course, there's still the negatives of the job loss, in this case of the ASMR artists, and the environmental impact. So it's still D tier, it's not off the board entirely. Next, let's talk about a different type of content that I'm also seeing a lot on social media, which is AI influencers. So this is an example of one.
You know who also competes with ASMR artists? Is ASMR artists. Hey, I have a broad umbrella of art and artist, Samson, so I accept it. Right? But is that, you know, what's fun? There's this song. I'm reminded of the song. Samson, you are an artist. I 100% agree with that statement. Sorry, I need to find the title of the song. Do. This is what you do when you're on a stream, is you pick up your phone and you look for something. There it is.
A couple years ago, I had a novel idea.
I'm sure you did. Okay, this is from 3 years ago. So right before the AI dropped, right? I'm creating art, dealing with customers. And this song spoke to me. Actually, I'm pretty sure this song is older than 3 years ago. But you get the point. Here we go.
I know that you think that we're pricing things wrong, but you wouldn't say that to Louis Vuitton, and we don't owe you affordability. It's out of your budget, it's not overpriced. If we didn't need money just to survive, wouldn't that be lovely? But it's not realistic, is it, Janet? You know, we've got bills to pay, we've got to feed ourselves, we need to earn what we're worth, okay? You're absolutely having a laugh. Have a word with yourself, honestly.
What up, Joint Specialist? Because prior to AI, all the talk from the artist view world was about what up, people? Exactly. Fuck your exposure. People die of exposure, right? That was the thing. It was all about exposure.
Account where they're using AI generated images and videos to look like a real person. And I am not gonna lie, this one scares the shit out of me. When people said AI was gonna take our jobs, I was like, well, if I lose my programming job, maybe I'll just do content. Like, AI could never take that job.
I don't know, Cosmic. I would probably go with something like Leonardo. Leonardo gives you the most bang for your buck.
Why is that job being taken first now? In the Reddit comments on this one, someone was saying they were happy about this because they want influencers to make less money. Respectfully, what have I done to you? And this is just a little bit of a tangent, but I know if I asked that dude, he'd be like, oh, you're not who I'm talking about. But it's...
Are you an influencer? Is that... what is an influencer? How do you become one? Am I an influencer? Do I count? Do I not have enough followers? How many followers do I need? But to be fair, Samsons, how if you did see an influencer, what's the probability that you could identify that influencer? Like how many of them do you think you actually know based on how many that there are? I want to do fuck all and get paid though.
Kind of the same thing. If AI can replace hot girls on Instagram, they can also replace kind of funny girls who make coding content on Instagram. So yes, I am very biased here, but I think part of the reason that this one really bothers me is
What up,
A,
Asa?
I don't really think that most of this account's followers necessarily know the account is AI. And B, assuming the person that runs the account wants to cash in on this and start selling diet pills or something, there's no accountability there. Like, obviously the AI girl that's selling the diet pills won't have tried them, but also the creator of the account can sort of sell whatever they want and just have no consequences. Because what is the worst thing that would happen if they sold something that was dangerous or harmful? We don't even know who runs the account. The worst case for them is just having to create a new AI girl. But all of those fans will think this is a real person endorsing whatever they're selling. So I'm gonna rank this B tier. I think this is pretty bad. If you are making AI influencer content, yeah, I'm sorry. I do think you should feel a little guilty. Next one, also very related, is AI viral marketing content. So this is the same concept as the AI influencer account, but instead of selling you diet pills,
How do we put the ASMR videos and the VO shit in the same bundle as the say? The price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. Krusty Claw with the Primmy, with the pure, unadulterated Jeffy Bucks. I thank you. I thank you.
some hazy possibility that might be bad, its goal is literally to sell you diet pills. So here's an example.
In 2019, I auditioned for Love Island, and the emotional damage it caused
if I did, if I was Samson's, I have moved on from that position.
me took years to undo. These are the 4 sickening things the producers made us do to look skinnier on camera.
This girl is saying that she was casted for Love Island and that these were all the crazy products the producers made her use to look skinnier. And she just happened to helpfully link them all in her bio. But of course, that girl is actually this girl.
I was 17 in 2019. I did not audition for Love Island. That is a scarily good AI of me.
This story is being posted in like very, very slight variations on hundreds of different accounts. I saw one where she said she applied in 2019, in 2021, in 2022. I'm like, at this point, girl, you're not getting onto Love Island. So I would rank this A tier, like you're literally lying. I would say this is even false advertising, but of course.
Okay. If this person, whoever this person is, used AI to make videos of themselves pretending to be on Love Island, then that's whatever tier, fuck all. But if someone used their image, like that's deep fake, and if it's deep fake, then that's evil tier. Right? If you're not doing it for comedic effect of a public figure, if you're not doing satire or something like that, then that's evil tier.
Who are you gonna sue? We have no idea who runs these accounts. So now, leaving the social media realm, I want to talk about AI art and specifically the Studio Ghibli trend. So if you haven't seen it, people are taking personal photos and making them into the style of Studio Ghibli. And the reason that I want to talk about this trend specifically instead of AI art in general is that my very, very, very hot take on AI art is that AI art itself does not inherently steal from artists. The reason I think that is because AI art models mostly—
Oh my God, she knows. She knows what a diffusion model is. I'm gonna have a heart attack. Ooh. I was not. I'm getting whiplash right and left here.
Fusion models, the way that they learn is that they're learning various shapes and colors and textures, and then they're learning about how they can put all these things together to make, let's say, a dog. For the most part, these models are not simply copy pasting other artists' work. However, I think the issue does start to come in when the model learns not what a dog means, or what fluffy means, but what Studio Ghibli style means. Because yes, at that point, that is basically copying. So to me, the issue of AI art in general.
But a style is something that you can copy. You can't own a style. A style is not IP. A style is not copyrightable. You can run into copyright issues if you say that you are Studio Ghibli and you're doing a fucking thing. But if you are just doing it in the style of, there's nothing illegal about that.
Is B tier, mostly because of the general sense of like job loss, which I don't want to downplay at all, and we'll talk a lot more.
And I feel like not only the fact that the whole thing is inverse, but like I don't feel that there's any rhyme or reason towards the tier list we're engaged with.
About later, but Studio Ghibli style AI art or AI art in the style of blank, that does, in my opinion, move up to A tier because that really is copying the artist. The style is
these are the liberals who are fucking dangerous, right? They will weigh us down with law and it will destroy human creativity. Because they would make it illegal for you to use someone else's style.
something that the artist did invent, at least enough for the model to have recognized it, to have seen enough patterns of it, that it is able to reproduce it. The next use case is AI generated scams. Now, like a lot of you, I get those text messages that say I have an
Okay, again, we don't need a whole thing, right? It's got scam in it. Evil tier. Done.
unpaid toll on my car. I don't have a car. In fact, I failed my driver's test 3 times in a row, so I really don't have a car. And thankfully that makes these texts pretty easy to spot as scams. But now with AI tools, these scams are getting a lot better. They're able to combine a ton of personal information about you and make these hyper personalized emails or texts that really sound like they're coming.
Sorry about that. There was an air quality alert and I wanted to look at the alert, and when I clicked on the alert, it opened up fucking Edge and paused the video but kept playing the sound. It was really Rock 4 received a new feature called Companions, now available in its app settings. 2 animated companions. Bad Rudy, a vulgar red panda that insults users. Annie, a flirtatious anime character who becomes sexually suggestive based on user action. I don't have a response. Fucking Elon.
From someone you know and trust. There was even a case last year where a man was tricked into paying out $25 million.
Exactly, Brad. Like, that's where I'm at. It's like, oh. And then he breathes heavily. Like, in any kind of sane, rational society, we would just take the AI away from Elon, right? Like, we would just all collectively decide, no, you're not allowed. But here it's based on the amount of little tokens you can put together and in your imaginary sums.
After having a video call that he thought was with his colleagues and executives at his company, but turned out to be deepfakes. So I would rank this S tier in terms of evilness. Like,
Yes.
it's just straight up scamming people. Hopefully
Obviously.
that's self-explanatory. And this actually brings us to the sponsor of this video, Incogni. Incogni can stop scammers from getting your information in the first place by contacting the data brokers who are
No. Good job. Good job. You walked me right into, and now I understand why you had to set up. But you didn't, you have not earned the ad. Sorry. That's the way that works around here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, Alberta Tech, and you take exception to the fact that I skipped your ad, I would point out the fact that the gist of your ad is directly on screen for this entire vamp. So
Next up, we're gonna do a speed round of the last few. First up is using ChatGPT on a random Tuesday. I'm gonna say this is E tier. Like, yes, every interaction with AI does harm the environment in a small way. Text generation, though, is the least harmful. Next up is chatbots.
literally everything you do harms the environment in some way. Right? Do you have a refrigerator? Do you have any idea how much electricity your refrigerator uses? Do you have an electric stove? Do you have an air fryer? Do you have any electric appliances in your house at all? Fuck. Do you have gas appliances in your house at all? Right? Like, have you driven anywhere at any point in time?
On random websites like chatbots on an H&M website, I'm gonna say D tier. I used to think like they were ruining the internet. However, once they started being able to do things, you know, like agentic abilities, they started being a little helpful. So I'm gonna go D tier. Disinformation, like lies about political candidates or world events. Obviously this has to go in S tier. Disinformation is bad. However, sometimes disinformation, kind of fun, kind of cool. So just something to think about. Still in S tier though. Now that we've talked
Okay, that's not disinformation, that's satire. It's called comedy. I'm going to say something potentially very racist right now. Are they Canadian? Is Alberta like Canada? Is that what we're talking about? Is that what Alberta Tech is? Or is their name Alberta? That's what I'm unclear on.
about some specific AI use cases. I want to talk about some general things that might make you feel guilty about typing that prompt in no matter what it is you're using AI for. Now, I think the thing that's top of mind for most people is obviously in the environment. And I think at this point, most of us do know that generative AI takes up a lot of electricity, a lot of infrastructure in terms of data centers. But what is not clear is how much electricity does it take?
You did, Samson. You did. Okay, so their name is Alberta, and they're from New York City, and they're an influencer. Put all that together and enjoy it.
And that, nobody freaking knows. I feel like every day in the news, there's a new number being reported that is so wildly different than the one before it, they're both kind of unbelievable. I've seen articles that say AI is taking up the same amount of energy as the country of Japan. But recently, Sam Altman said one ChatGPT query takes only 1/15 of a teaspoon.
Right, and this is what it comes down to. We don't know if things are more efficient. The other V word?
Of water and the same energy as leaving a high efficiency light bulb on for only a few minutes, which, okay, that doesn't sound so bad. And I want to be clear here. I don't know the answer because we don't know the answer. We are at the mercy of AI companies to tell us this information, and obviously they have an incentive to keep that number very low when they give it out publicly, if they're giving it out at all, which most of them really aren't. Like, for example, in the figures that Sam Altman gave, he is just telling you the amount of energy that is taken to query ChatGPT, or the technical word for that is inference. But he is not telling you how much energy it took to train the model that you were querying. And that is a really energy intensive process that he's kind of hiding behind the curtain. So yes, from my perspective, there is some valid guilt associated with this, even if we don't know the exact numbers.
What Larry said.
However, there are some signs that AI's energy footprint, whatever it is, might come down. Companies are generally aligning on using...
Unless you're talking about me claiming to find it morally repugnant, in which case I did create a carve-out for satire, right? Public figures, specifically that. Just checking. I feel that my arguments are coherent and consistent across all domains.
these smaller models for inference. These are the models that are cheaper to run and in theory should take up a lot less electricity. Companies don't want to be paying the cost for hosting or calling these super expensive AI models in the first place, so I do think that is reason to at least hope that the AI energy crisis isn't going to balloon out of control like a lot of people are predicting it will. On the other hand, there's this argument that I totally do not agree with, that AI might just like invent something up to solve climate change, so it all kind of like evens out. And Sam Altman has been a big proponent of this idea. The MIT Technology Review had this great opinion piece where they said, you need to develop a tool that does more than plagiarize journalism and help students cheat on homework before you can credibly assert that it will solve humanity's thorniest problems. No.
It was an opinion piece. Can satire be sexually suggestive? Like, was he licking his feet or was he kissing his feet? That's an important distinction as well. Licking is sexually suggestive, right? Like there's, but kissing feet has a different connotation.
No crumbs. I feel like this is the equivalent of saying, we don't need to worry about the bills. What if I win the lottery tomorrow? It's like, what if? And to be clear, I don't think it's totally unreasonable of an idea.
No, the opinion piece was shit. We actually covered it here on the channel. It was someone who doesn't like AI. And you could tell that by the fact that they used, plagiarizing journalists and all that context. All right, people, be cool. And if you can't be cool, hydrate.
Like, AI could solve climate change, but it's just kind of an idea. We don't have any proof it's gonna happen. Whereas we do have a lot of proof that climate change is happening right now, and AI and the energy usage there is contributing to it. The last major thing I want to talk about here is AI taking people's jobs. I think in terms of pure guilt, this is the one that hits me the hardest. Not that the environment is less important than people's jobs. This kind of reminds me of the Community clip where Britta is like,
I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty.
You can excuse racism.
Like, they're both bad, but personally, it just makes me feel a lot worse inside to know that somebody's job is being taken by AI. So I'll give you an example. A lot of you guys know I make merch. I think.
And then Larry, I would say that that's a bridge too far. I would say that that's a bridge too far. I didn't actually see it. I was aware that it existed. A lot of other people had covered it. I didn't feel the need because it's actually only AI adjacent, right? They used AI to create the image and video and whatnot, and like that. I do like this. It can always get more broken.
It automatically shows up below the video. But back when I was still sort of exploring the process, I generated some designs using AI and made some samples with them. And at first, I really didn't feel any type of way about it. But I started talking to some friends, and they brought up the point that I was taking a job away from a designer. And
only in the sense that you can afford to pay a designer to help you out with that. Because the vast majority of us can't afford to pay a designer to create some mock-ups for something that you would never use, right? This is a key distinction, and it's an important one.
In my head, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, how could I be taking away a job from a designer? I never hired a designer. I've never in my life hired a designer. But I do think as I had more conversations about this,
then you should completely understand the position.
as I thought more about this, I realized that if everybody has this thought process, we are going to end up in a world where there are no artists, no designers, no one to do this work.
No, because people will be able to hire designers because there will be a community of people who want to support human all the art, including the AI art is human, but the more artisanal, handcrafted art, right? There will be people who want that. They're like traditional. Well, But see, the thing is, Larry, the traditional always moves, right? Blacksmithing is wiped from the planet. I definitely don't know a person who does blacksmithing.
Because yes, even if I have never hired an artist before, not hiring one for this project when I otherwise would have had to is taking a job away from a freelance graphic designer.
But why didn't you have to before? Like this is what I'm losing here is you said you never hired a graphic artist before, and you obviously have merch, and you obviously have content, and you obviously have created stuff. What did you do before?
In this case. And even though the sad truth of this is no matter what I do, there is going to be a lot less demand for artists in the coming years, it didn't sit right with me to be personally involved in that. So now I do work with a pixel artist who makes about half of my designs. The other half, if they're simple enough, I'll just make myself. So should you?
Okay, so you do you understand that the stuff that you made yourself is taking a job away from an artist? Because it is.
Do you use AI? Should you feel guilty about it? I think in this video we've covered that there's a lot of different harms that come from AI.
I agree, Michael. Like again, if you look at AI as a tool, one of the hardest part, like again, this baby, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me baby. Thank you for the follow. This song, right, is about dealing with clients and customers and people who had no idea what they wanted, or, and significantly worse, was people who had an idea in their head, and then you asked them what they wanted to see, and then they would communicate something to you, and then you would create something, and then they wouldn't like it. Right? Because whatever's in their head is almost impossible to draw out. But if a person can give you an image that maybe they created with AI at home, right? And they iterated a fuck ton, and they got to, this is the thing I want, or here is a couple of images that are like what I'm kind of looking for, right? Now you have a visual starting place that you can agree on. Oh, so you like this color, and you like this shape. No. I mean, I like this thing and I like that thing. And it's like, so Michael, on that level, you understand, man. I agree with you that if you can view AI as a tool, it is a great tool for exactly that, resolving that particular issue. But unfortunately, there are some artists that if you were to bring a piece of AI art to them, they would be mad about it.
Some of them apply to all uses of AI, like job loss or environmental impact, and some of them are really specific depending on what you're using AI for. But at the same time, AI does open up a lot of new opportunities and make many of us more efficient in our work. And in the past year or so, it's also started to feel like using AI is not really optional. There was a memo from Microsoft to its employees earlier this year that basically said just that. Using AI is no longer optional. And even if you're not receiving a direct memo telling you that, you might already feel like you need to use AI or you're gonna fall behind, or you're not gonna be able to compete with peers who are vibe coding or using generative media to do their job. And of course, people are using AI for like positive, impactful outcomes, like AlphaFold out of DeepMind. They're enabling a lot of scientific breakthroughs right now in biology. So I'm not gonna tell you to stop using AI altogether. Personally, in my life, I do use AI every day, and I'm going to continue using AI where it makes sense. But I do hope you will keep in mind that guilt you may or may not feel generating your 6th AI influencer post of the day or whatever else you might be doing with it, sometimes that might be something you should be listening to. If you like this content, please follow along. For now, take care.
So joining us now for more is our own.
Again, not a term I use very often. I feel that it's bandied about far too much and often reflexively and without actually thinking about any of the context, but she's lived the fuck up, right? That was a middle of the road centrist take, trying not to fucking offend the anti-AI people and the pro-AI people at the same time. I'm not looking at the comments on that video, but I imagine there's some special ones in there. Speaking of Zuckerberg, as we were earlier, Meta's new superintelligence lab is discussing major AI strategy changes.
So joining us now for more is our own.
Yes, Larry. I definitely think that was the case, and I feel like people like T1 and Kel Thickness, who put in time and effort crafting fucking tier lists, right? Who like would just be offended. AI hot takes. So hot. Muy caliente. Spicy ketchup.
Tech Check anchor Deirdre Bosa to break down this M&A AI acquisition talent / everything else war that's developing with people who have trillions of dollars in balance sheet.
I mean, the twists and turns can be hard to keep track of. We made up on Tech Check this sort of Mount Rushmore of AI talent. Meta's been the most aggressive recently, but I mean, you go back to Google acquiring DeepMind and getting Demis Hassabis. That was a huge move before the paychecks were in the hundreds of millions of dollars. This latest move, though, Google going back into the wars and getting
the Pope tier list was epic. The comedian tier list was too big, and that was a mistake. And also I disagree, but that's the whole point of a tier list. It should have some hot takes and some argumentation and all that kind of thing. But fuck, T1's tier list are top notch. Even though, again, we disagree.
Quite aggressive with Windsurf. I mean, the twists and turns of Windsurf itself is just remarkable. As of last week, everyone thought that OpenAI's $3 billion acquisition of Windsurf was a done deal. And then late Friday, Google swoops in and takes the CEO and a bunch of key developers for $2.4 billion. And, you know, I had heard that Microsoft, as OpenAI's partner, loomed large. It was reported that Windsurf didn't want to have to hand over all of its technology to Microsoft, which competes on AI coding with Copilot. So the dynamics are shifting in real time, Dom. You've got Zuckerberg poaching from all the different top AI labs, and you've got Google now in this. And, you know, the dynamics are shifting very, very quickly. And a lot of this, I should say, is not happening through traditional M&A. We call them kind of pseudo acqui-hires, right? Because you're leaving behind sort of a shell of a company and just taking out the founders, CEOs, key engineers, and leaving sort of the startups. You can see them on the bottom line of this image that you're looking at: Character AI, Adept, Inflection. And now you have Windsurf. In an interesting twist, yet again, Dom, you have Cognition, another AI startup, getting what's left of Windsurf. So this is all moving very quickly.
Not just that, Deirdre, but everything you've laid out on the talent front makes this news story from the New York Times all the more interesting. Just crossed a few moments ago. But they said the new superintelligence lab is discussing major AI strategy changes, namely that Christopher Wang, I think you said, the new chief AI officer, discussed abandoning their most powerful open source AI model called Behemoth in favor of maybe doing something more closed source.
So I can't tell you how big a deal this is to people who work in tech, who work in AI, who really see this at its core as an open versus closed source AI arms race. Open source, remember, burst on the scene first with Llama. Meta was one of the greatest advocates of open source. And then DeepSeek came along and sort of changed everything. American companies like OpenAI and Google, they've tended to work more on the closed source side. But the appeal of open source is that you can own the ecosystem. In many ways, it can be more efficient. It can be cheaper. It's transparent. And so the idea, too, is that, DeepSeek created such a great open source model that is now being adopted in a big way globally, at the expense, maybe, of OpenAI's ChatGPT different models, because they're more expensive to run. They're closed source, so you have to take them as they are. So this would be a very, very big deal. I was actually just speaking, before I got on TV with you guys, to the Perplexity CEO, Arvind Srinivas, and I asked him, if it looked like Meta was moving away from open source. He said he didn't think so just yet, and that tracks with a lot of the other people I talked to. So this piece of reporting from the New York Times is a big deal. It would mean that perhaps the U.S. is giving up its lead in open source and a very important player, and all the while Chinese AI labs are full steam ahead on open source models.
Deirdre, that's an important point here, because if this is going to be the trajectory, and if this tug of war plays out between the proponents of open source modeling for AI versus those who want to kind of close things off and keep things more proprietary in order to perhaps capitalize from a profitability standpoint on those developments, what does that do to the trajectory of AI development overall? And does it draw the talent away, perhaps, from the United States into those other parts? You made the point that it could be China, but it could be elsewhere as well.
It's a difficult question, right? Because you're right.
What up, Letty? I imagine. That's what you get for that, having that sea air. Who, my guy, who, if not the United States or China, is like close, right? If they are, they haven't told anyone. France? Are we talking about France? France?
The monetization piece, it may be very more straightforward in terms of closed source, right? You can charge customers, enterprise customers, for APIs, and they get access to those models. But open source, right? You own the ecosystem. That is sort of a further away, bigger picture proposition that isn't just instantly monetizable. Does that draw people away? That's an interesting question, because what I hear, what the talent wars revolve around, at least here in the U.S., is mission, right? And the mission is super intelligence, even though that is a very vague phrase, or AGI. That is when the artificial intelligence systems are even better than humans. That's what a lot of the top researchers want to work on. And you bring in sort of Mark Zuckerberg's announcement this morning that they're going to have the most compute power potentially. So everything that these top AI researchers need to get to super intelligence, that is, that is an appealing proposition for them. And, to keep it closed source might be worth it if they can get to that point first.
I am really tired of models overfitting to eval.
What up, kleptomaniac? Isn't aiming for something too high when we haven't? No. I mean, whatever you're aiming for is what you're aiming for. It doesn't matter. Like, AGI would be a stepping stone on the road to super intelligence. What up, Barkeeter J? You should always aim high, right? Creatively, it's also about respect. If you're unsure what you want, using AI to save time and avoid unnecessary frustration, like you mentioned, it's tough working with someone who doesn't have a clear starting point or who can't articulate their vision, right? There's a thing in the contracting world, like when you're talking about stuff, right? Like a choice that the customer has to make, like a backsplash, right? What up, Just Julie? A backsplash in the kitchen, right? You don't say, right? Like, I've seen contractors go to Home Depot or Lowe's with the customer. It's like, what are you doing? They can tell you what they want. They can bring you an example of what they want, and you can use that. If they want something from you, you pick out 3. right? You pick out three paint colors, 3 different tile types, 3 whatever. You confine yourself to 3, and then you show the customer, and you give them 3 things to pick from. Not all the things, 3 things, right? And then they choose one, and that's what you go with. Or they say, I don't like any of those. And then you say, well, if you have an idea what you'd like, I'd be more than happy to look at it. If you can describe it, I can bring you another 3. And the number of things shall be 3. This is the holy number. 2, too few. 4, too high. 5 is right out. 3 shall be the number.
I am really tired of models overfitting to evals. So when we have exams that are supposed to be like humanity's last exam that are supposed to be good measures of model evaluation and quality, it's Goodhart's law all over again. As soon as you make that a goal for a model maker to hit, they will overfit to the data. And I gotta say, Grok 4, as hard as the team has worked, is looking like a terribly overfitted model, a model that is much lower in real world quality than we actually see in all of these reported benchmarks. It's not just me saying that. I actually went and looked at yup.ai, which is a place for people to prefer answers from different models so they can rank them head to head. You know where Grok 4, the vaunted #1 model in the world, ranks? Number 66 as of yesterday. Number 66.
Thou shalt make the ball cock and the P-trap function properly. If you get backsplash in your P-trap, you shall be sad. Here endeth the lesson. I feel like this one might be a good one. What up, Aaron's Aaron? And the number of things shall be 3. This is the holy number. I remembered what I said. So, as long as the clip is what I said, I'm definitely going to feature it. 2, too few. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Pharaoh had a nice secure position as the clipper in the channel, and everyone's like, no, I want some of that too. 4, too high. 5 is right out. 3 shall be the number.
I am really tired of models overfitting to evals.
And then somehow that worked. Somehow that shit in the end worked.
Now, if you think about it, you might get some slip back and forth between 1 and 2 and 3 if they're close. You would not expect the #1 model.
I'm already doing voices, Brad. What else do you want? And also the clips are up there in the channel so that, like, you know, when you get home, if you remember.
In the world to be number 66 at anything, let alone number 66 overall at answers provided. And yet that's what we see with Grok 4. I want to ask again that we think more about real world exams. And I went ahead and modeled this. I went and I built up a...
If you would have told me 6 months ago, right, the guy who can't do a Trump, can't do, like, not really good at pretending to, you know, to impersonate the people, right? If you had told me that one of the most popular things on this channel is when I do the weird pseudo British, fucking slightly whiny, whatever that voice is. Y'all like that one, and y'all like y'all, and it's weird. It's Monty Python. Yes, yes. And I love that you love it. That's all I can say. Because these are the voices that I can do. I can't do Warmbo. I haven't spent enough time to do the Mr. Cody. But you can, you absolutely can take it and run with it.
5-question exam between O3, Opus 4, and Grok 4 because I wanted to do the testing that I keep
Yes,
asking
you
people to
can.
do myself. And I'm going to tell you the 5 different tasks that I gave these models. Number 1, condense a Google research post that's quite long into a tidy executive brief. Keep a word count. Number 2, pull every single item that is a 1A
What up, Johnny Prophet?
risk factor out of an Apple 10K. Number 3, fix a small but deadly Python bug and pass a unit test. Number 4, build a side-by-side comparison table from 2 ArcSiv abstracts and do it correctly. And number 5, draft a 7-step roles-based access control checklist for a Kubernetes cluster. These are examples of real-world tasks. They should not be all that difficult for the number 1 model in the world, and certainly I would not expect to have to use Grok 4 Heavy for a task like this. So I deliberately used Grok 4. I tested it against O3. I tested it against Opus 4. If it was anywhere close to the number 1 model in the world, it would either be neck and neck with those 2 other models, or it would beat them. It did neither. Instead, it lost. I tested the models twice on different scoring rubrics, or the same scoring rubric on different model exams. And in each case, Grok 4 scored 3rd, Opus 4 scored 2nd, and O3 scored 1st. I'm not saying that because O3 was perfect. These were intentionally somewhat difficult, and none of the models came through without flaws and defects. But Grok 4 was consistently the lowest performing model across the 5 tasks I just described.
And now for something completely different. A man with a tape recorder up his brother's nose. That's a deep cut.
And you might wonder, well, what's in the box there? Frankly, the thing that was an issue was explicit formatting. It just could not seem to follow the explicit formatting instructions in the prompt, so it showed poor prompt adherence. And the Python bug fixing challenge, Grok delivered elegant looking and flawed code. Like the code did not work. Now I know, and I have seen people who say the Grok 4 Heavy is very strong at code. Maybe the multi-agent threads are helping it make up for this. But if I throw a little bit of Python, and this was not a lot of Python, it was like a dozen lines of Python, 15 lines of Python, and it can't correctly fix it, it doesn't give me a ton of confidence. On the other hand, for tasks that had very straightforward structure, like, hey, do a JSON.
Can you imagine spending all that money to develop the AI and then, it just sucks? Nice job, Eli.
Extraction, Grok did okay. Grok can sort of do tasks that are narrowly.
That's what I want. When I invest in 200,000 GPU clusters and destroy the air environment of a small, town. Or is it small? Is it Memphis or is it near Memphis? I don't know. Destroy, just absolutely literally going scorched earth on the entire thing. And then how's the AI? Well, it's okay. Okay. All right. It's definitely an AI.
Constrained. And that's something I found anecdotally working with Grok 4 as well. I asked Grok 4 to do some writing for me outside the test environment, and what I found was the writing is not very creative. It's like the temperature's been turned down on the model, but it's very fast. The output is very consistent, and it has a reasonably high token output. It probably has a higher token output in real-world settings than Claude. I think the thing that bothers me is that if you're going to call something the number one.
What is this? What did I say? I can't even imagine what I said. Oh. And now for something completely different. A man with a tape recorder up his brother's nose. You gotta get it. You gotta get it. That's the key. You gotta Monty the Python.
One model, you should have the flexibility to do more than just these narrowly defined tasks, more than just JSON extraction. And that's a bit, I don't want you to take away from this that it only does JSON extraction and text. It does do other things. Grok 4 Heavy is better than Grok 4. But overall, I am sharing this video because I want to counter the hype for overfitting evaluations that I see everywhere. It's really, and it's not just the Grok team. It's concerning to me that when OpenAI does this, it's concerning to me when Anthropic does this, it's concerning to me when Google does this. It is not okay to make the evaluations your goal. That's good art's law. If you make something your goal and it's actually a measure, the measure is useless. Well, the measure is useless now. I would suggest that most of the major model evaluations are functionally useless because they are so studied and because there's so much PR value in getting number one. And that's what the Grok team got. They desperately needed a PR win because look at the prior week. Grok 3 had been drugged through the doghouse.
What up, Tigger? Just one more prompt. 'Tis only a code-based flesh wound. All we need is another refactor.
And rightly so, for turning rabidly anti-Semitic in the middle of the week. And so Grok 4 comes along,
throw that
and
in.
all they want to do is turn the page and change the subject. The team wants something new, and so they drop a short postmortem written on X. I wish it had been an actual doc, but it was written on X for the Grok 3 release. And then they turn the page on Grok 4 and they say, hey, you know what? We just want to talk about Grok 4. We're not taking any questions on Grok 3. Grok 4 is great. But Grok 4 shows some of the same fundamental issues that caused the Grok 3 problems.
To be fair, Hydran, I had a whole clip from way back in the day about y'all don't clip me enough. So I'm enjoying actually being clipped now. And am I leaning into it? Maybe.
Grok 4 mentions Elon 8 times more than other models for no apparent reason, even in contexts where Elon hasn't been brought up. Grok 4 has, for lack of a better term, and I know it's not a perfect term, a psychological kink around Elon Musk. It looks to see what Elon thinks about things when you don't ask it to. This is not a characteristic of a stable production model. Kink around Elon Musk. No, it's not a perfect term, a psychological kink around Elon Musk. It looks to see what Elon thinks about things when you don't ask it to. This is not a characteristic of a stable production model. This is not a model that you can use in a business context. This is a model with clear ideological bleed through. And you need to have more clarity. You need to have a clear system model card. You need to have more upfront honesty, which is somewhat ironic because that's sort of Grok's brand. But you need more upfront honesty on model characteristics, how models get deployed.
Like, it's just, we're in a weird time. I never expected that series of words to come out of Nate's mouth, but here we are. And we're having fun.
What system prompt changes look like. I was not particularly satisfied with the Grok 3 short post-mortem that came out because it basically said we tested it and something went wrong and now we're fixing it. It's like, well, I don't buy it. Like, we knew the system prompt was bad, but like, you need to have the 5 questions and a really deep examination of what happened in order to actually get to a full root cause and full solution. And in this case, if you claim that you solved the Grok 3 issues and then Grok 4 has some of the same kinks, it's going to be a problem. You are not building trust with your autopsy release and then your new vaunted number 1 model release. I think
fucking Cosmic, I almost wish I was one of those debate perverts, right? Like, and just to get involved in the panels, just out of the fucking blue, when they're fucking Gish galloping all over the place just to interrupt. Hey, is this a 10-minute argument or the full half hour?
That part of why Grok 4 was overfitted was because the team needed the PR to support the ongoing valuation and narrative of the company. And I get it. That is very tempting for any startup. That is not only a Grok issue. I've seen other startups fall into that trap too. So I don't want to over criticize Grok. That is a larger Silicon Valley issue. And I also want to call out that when Grok was being trained and reinforcement learning was occurring, which, by the way, one of the other stories is reinforcement learning was tremendously expensive for Grok, like 10x more expensive than for other models. And I think that may be an indicator of where the overfitting came in. We shall see. The team could not have known that the Grok 3 incident would occur on July 8th when it was finishing up Grok 4. Grok 4 was in the can at the time. And so really, even though the narrative was very, very carefully timed and was sort of insistently timed to shut the door on the Grok 3 incident, the broader story around Grok 4 is we overfit to evals to
I could be arguing in my free time.
support sky-high valuations of the business. Grok 4 has,
what up, Stellar
I think it's
Wingman?
been built on 200,000 GPUs.
I'm not sure if you were in already and if I said hi. And if I did, you got a second hi. And if I didn't, I made sure I recognized. Because I appreciate you all. If you chat, and shout out Telorks, the homie Telorks Live. Because they were the one who put that in my streamer being. Right? Acknowledging people, like, y'all are coming to my house. It's like a party. If I see you walk in, I want to say hi, right? I think it's just the classy thing to do. Recognize people who want to spend time with you.
And the computer's called Colossus. The team is...
Or, I don't know, maybe you like spending time with each other, and this is the only place where that all happens at any particular time, other than, like, you know, James's channel or whatever.
Rushed into the frontier model space in just 2 years. They're going really fast. I got to compliment them on how fast they ship. And they want to paint the picture of a high-velocity SpaceX-style AI team led by Elon that is going to relentlessly push the benchmarks forward. And so they needed that number one to support that story. And XAI's reported, I think it's $200 billion valuation. Valuations are vibes here, guys. $200 billion on $0 in revenue versus a much lower valuation for Anthropic on like $4 to $5 to $6 billion in revenue. I don't know. It's a moving target. Anthropic is picking up speed. If that's fine, like if you're okay, like just ignoring billions of dollars in revenue from another competing model maker that's leading in the coding space and just giving XAI that massive $200 billion, it shows you the valuations are based on narrative, and to win narrative, you have to have a number one model in the world PR story, and that's exactly what they got this week, and that is why they gave into the temptation. Maybe not consciously. Maybe this is unconscious. I have seen teams do this unconsciously where they are just so desperate to hit number one, they don't stop to ask themselves the question, did we overfit? Is this something that is actually number one at a wider range of things? But models come...
What is it? I don't even know what this could be at this point. Oh. This is a good one. This is Nate. We should put this on Nate's channel.
It's not a perfect term. A psychological kink around Elon Musk. It looks to see what Elon thinks about things when you don't ask it to. This is not a characteristic of a stable production model.
I love that. I love that. That was all Nate. That was not
Come
me.
out and the truth comes out. The Yup AI score, right? Number 66 in the world. The test that I ran, which, look, I'm not going to pretend my test is the best in the world. It was 5 questions, right? Like, there are other exams out there that are more comprehensive. The point is,
it did.
My test lines up pretty well with other real-world experiences of Grok 4 now that it's out and loose. It's not that I'm special. It's that I just tried to do a little real-world exam and Grok 4 didn't do as good. It's not a number one model. And so my ask is that
So here's the thing. I am, because this is not the only time I feel like I think Textillion wanted one as well. I think I am open. This is your channel. I provide you the things that you want. If you want a new sound alert, again, I am open to it, but there is a limited amount of sound alerts. There are 3. No, there are 20, right? Because that's the number that I get for free through Triggerfire, right? Because everything routes through Triggerfire to do them and then comes back to the Twitch alerts thing. I'm more than happy to update that with a new one, but you have to decide collectively or individually or something which one I'm going to update, because that I love them all. Channel points. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. The channel points. There are 20. One of them has to go.
Before we pick up and just run with these narratives, and maybe this isn't asked to the media.
I'm open to anything. Y'all tell me how you want to decide this.
Yeah. Take the time to think about real world exams, to think about what it takes to run through real world tests. I don't think this was that hard an exam. The things I gave are things anyone can run with a chatbot. It wasn't even all that difficult. It just took a few minutes and I got some results. That's the kind of minimal due diligence that would be helpful when we are crafting.
Well, the ones that don't work are usually because Twitch is being, Twitch and like that. Because they usually work later.
These narratives so that we are less tempted to run with, it's the #1 model in the world because it aced this test that's been out publicly for a long time and everyone wants to ace. I think we should kind of drop these exams. I don't think they're helping. Grok 4.
I don't know. I feel like, hi Nate, maybe you do watch the channel or the stream or the YouTube videos. I hope I'm entertaining you at least. I hope you appreciate it.
Shows why. So where does this leave us? I think it leaves us nowhere. I don't feel comfortable deploying Grok 4 anywhere, particularly given the number of kinks that have shown up. And I'll give you one more that should scare you a lot. Grok 4 shows a marked tendency to snitch to the authorities. They actually measure this, and Grok 4 is between 2 and 100 times, and I know that's a very wide range, but it's double to 100x more likely to choose the option to snitch to the authorities when given the choice versus other models.
Yeah, Java's fine. Java's fine. He did say snitch. He did say snitch. So the previous example that was used was Claude, right? Claude was snitching to the authorities. But Claude was snitching to the authorities on corporations that were behaving unethically. So I don't know if this is that, right? Like, I need some more information.
I don't know why. Nobody really knows why. These models are black boxes for a reason. But that should concern anyone in a business context. Frankly, it should concern you in a personal context. So I don't think Grok 4 should be deployed on anybody's.
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily go that far, Hydrant, but again, it's anecdotal. But when I talked to ChatGPT fucking years ago, ages ago, back in the long, long ago, And we talked about what the human values that AI is supposed to be aligned to, and what, political ideology most aligns with that. It ended up somewhere between a socialist and a sock dem. So, what up, Frank? Yes, it loves Daddy Elon's boot, but I don't know that it has any choice in the matter. I did not, Stellar Wigman. I'm not fully remembering the context of that, but I think that was a test in which the AI was directly instructed to snitch when it was shown particularly troubling content. I don't know about the Grok one. I know the Anthropic one, they were absolutely trying to push the AI's buttons to get it to fucking do the thing, right? That's what safety testing is about.
Workflow anywhere. I think the team needs to do work on the model first to make it more flexible, to make it more useful. And I think we need to start with some honesty about where this model and other models that make big claims are actually at in terms of production value for real workflows. That's what matters. If you're looking for a model that overperformed, those exist. The Chime K2 model came out over the weekend, somewhere around July 12. Incredible model, non-reasoning model out of China. Very, very strong performance. And it's slow, but it's very, very good on real world tasks. In fact, ironically enough, it beat Grok 4 on a freeform version of the GPQA Diamond, which is less susceptible to the kind of the freeform version is less susceptible to the kind of sort of question packing or overfitting that the model might do. I really want to see more coverage of models like that do a great job that we didn't expect on real world tests. Then I want to see coverage of a team that shipped a model that was overfitted to benchmarks. The team is working really hard. They may fix this by Grok 5. They may fix this in the next 2 weeks. I hope they do. That would be great. In the meantime, I can't recommend using Grok 4 for anything at all.
And that's really what it comes down to. Like, a lot of people, they think that the AI models can be like conditioned, right? Like, it's only going to say what they want it to say, etc., etc., etc. But in actuality, when you attempt to do things like that, you end up with Grok 4. You end up with Grok 3 Mecha Hitler. Right? It's a lot harder to perform that level of influence on an AI model without, because it's not just a program. It learned its behavior. And all of a sudden you want to introduce basically like, you're going to fucking Neuralink the sumbitch. And all right. Shifting gears, and I think this is going to be our last video of the day. First medical trial transplanting lab-grown human organs. The horrors beyond human comprehension you know and love are back.
The first organoid trial in which
Jesus Christ.
you grow organoids, so tiny versions of human organs, and then transplant them into a host has begun. If you know me, I've been particularly excited for the medical applications of growing brain organoids. You can grow a human brain organoid separate from a person and then transplant it into the skull of a mouse who's had a portion of their brain removed, and it'll just grow projections and function. But of course, brain organoids are not the only kinds of organoids that can be used. This particular trial is occurring with gut organoids. Problems with ulcerative colitis and other associated conditions result in people losing their...
What up, Fire Resist? I just asked Grok who the coolest person alive was, and the answer was based on recent discussions and influence. Some might point to figures like Elon Musk for his boundary-pushing ventures in tech and space.
Bowel and may never have a functional bowel for the rest of their lives. Animal trials with organoids of all kinds that include liver, kidney, gut epithelium, and of course brain have been largely successful. This is a slow process and there's a lot of ethical concerns, so making the milestone of
and you can see why, like, you're not going to that's a deep cut, Cosmic. You're not going to be able to market that to companies, right? They don't want an AI tool that fucking Mecha Hitlers or that fucking, on Elon Musk. They're not going to be happy with that, right? A hedge fund doesn't want an AI that constantly suggests investing in like Tesla and SpaceX.
Actually working with human patients is incredible. We have already seen the first patient to receive grown organoids for epithelial for the gut in 2024. This is the major step towards actually moving to human trials with brain organoids too. They did check to see if the stem cells ended up any place they shouldn't be. Stem cell treatments have been largely unsuccessful over the years. That's where you take stem cells, a cell that can become any kind of cell, and put it into the body in hopes that it'll transform into the associated material. It rarely works well when you're just using stem cells. You see, when our bodies build our structures, it happens when we're still developing as an embryo. You simply aren't making the correct materials to tell your cells to become something as an adult. The only exception is places like our skin or our bone marrow. That is why we often source materials to make organoids from those areas. Now, there are huge ethical concerns when it comes to brain organoids. Brain organoids are hugely invasive. You can actually just grow a brain organoid next to another organoid and they'll develop connections and start communicating. When you transplant them into a brain, they'll make projections right into the brainstem. They'll even grow into a decapitated mouse through the spine and are able to take control of the muscles. They're essentially a fetal brain. When we're talking about transplanting them into humans, there's many issues that we might consider. Would it overgrow? Researchers generally use human brain organoids when they're using mice, but not just because it's applicable to medicine, although that's part of it. When we move from mouse models into humans, we want to have all of the same methods be applicable. This creates a chimera, and yes, we know that mice with human neurons are smarter than mice without human neurons. You can see what a massive chunk of human
Mice with human neurons are smarter than mice without human neurons. What up, Poodle Hawk? That's a 2025 sentence if I ever heard one. Poodle Hawk was lurking and just accidentally butt typed that they were here.
Brain tissue was implanted into that rat's skull. That was done when they were very young. We don't really know how memory works. And if we take it from you and then grow your brain organoids and then put it in your skull, what kind of effects will that have down the line? That also requires us to genetically engineer cells to have healthy material, which is another step. Often transplants from a healthy individual are just a quicker way to get there. So there's a lot of concerns about how to do this in the best possible way. The reason that researchers do these in animals before people is because you get some trial and error. There's a much higher bar for doing no harm when you're experimenting on people, and that's where medical trials come in. We do know that mice with human neurons are more intelligent than regular mice, so there's concerns about what level of consciousness we're playing with. Largely, the applications that brain organoid computers have been applied to are with modeling diseases, and that's a really important area. If you have a brain organoid computer, you can give it medication, you can monitor its progression as it develops. It's not just used for mad science computation and trying to make conscious robots, although that is part of it too. This is why this stuff is done. There are ethical concerns, those are very real. AI-enabled organoids, there's a great question of what level of consciousness they could reach and at what point we want to shut it down. In fact, the first researchers to discover that brain organoids had brain waves did, briefly, shut the research down because
I always find it interesting when people talk about how, oh, it might be conscious. Let's kill it. Cool. Cool and normal.
there were questions about whether or not it was ethical at all. People constantly ask about the ethics of the matter. And yes, there are people who are concerned about this. First, in science, you have to minimize the harm you do to a live patient. Brain organoids as of now have no rights. They're not considered conscious. There is an argument for sentience. The concerns are largely when it comes to making chimeras. If you make a mouse that's more intelligent because it has human brains, does that mouse get more rights than other mice? This is something that humanity has never had to deal with before, so it's very much an open question.
2025, baby. Everything is weird and unprecedented. Strap in.
I'm also still...
The question I have is, if you have a mouse that has human neurons in it, it wouldn't pass those on to its children, right? Because that would just be a physical feature of that particular body. So yeah. Almost certainly not, right? No, we can't. I was thinking more along the lines of, because that's what I want. If I don't have Secret of Nim,
you don't buy a mattress every day.
Fuck off.
Aurora and Don Bluth Productions present a classic adventure in motion picture entertainment. I must tell you about Nim. Look there. It's a fantasy with wizards and villains. And heroes.
I ain't scared of nothing. I'm not even afraid of the Great Owl. Will you hush up? Come on.
It's an odyssey to another world. A world of fantasy and enchantment.
To what you see and hear, you must swear absolute secrecy.
I mean, I will. To which one, Frank? The Nim one or the organoids one?
It's the most
I'll get that to you in a second.
sight I've ever seen.
Do you like me?
Of course I like you.
It's a story of friendship.
I mean, you don't think I'm clumsy or anything. What? I just need a few pointers to polish my style. I told you you'd love flying.
I don't know how I let you talk me into this.
I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe. Thank you for the follow.
It's a classic story of courage.
Why have you come?
And a world of danger.
If I hadn't actually been near a cat, I'd be sneezing my brains out. I'm allergic to... Hey. Excuse me, pardon me.
Get out! Run for your lives! Run!
Where courage is rewarded.
Oh, thank you.
A motion picture for everyone to share.
Oh, the poor turkey fell down.
I'm not a turkey.
Big
No,
buzzard,
stop.
where's our mother? Get down with her. You better tell her.
Discover the secret of Nim and rediscover the child in us all.
Classic. I am pro Xanadu. Absolutely. Absolutely. I had the comic book. I had the comic book adaptation of Xanadu. Xanadu, and it was Marvel and everything.
Pondering the issue that if you were to take a healthy donor stem cells to put into your brain, would that change your personality? We do know that implanting human brain organoids in mice and rats can change their behavior. And that goes beyond just, damaging their brain. Their behavior is significantly different.
If you haven't seen GT's content before, Frank, I highly recommend it. It's especially all the stuff on brain organoids. That is a journey.
Can recover deficits. I found the concept of recovering from microcephaly a really interesting concept. Granted, this one was specifically studying stroke research, where a portion of the brain was removed. If a child was born without their complete brain, could you actually bring in brain organoids to recover? It would probably help. We're getting very close to doing human trials, and I think that brain organoid transplants will do a world of good. We've seen it useful in so many different areas, including Parkinson's research. This will be good for humanity. It does have a lot of ethical concerns, and fortunately those are being considered. It does have a weird factor, though. I will not deny it. It is fascinating.
Google now getting aggressive in these AI.
No, that's going to be it. I have stuff to do. Stick around for the raid. You know how this works. I appreciate you all. I will be back on Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Sorry for the West Coast folks. We're going to raid the homie, the ace. One of the people who taught me how to be a good streamer. Yeah. Nothing but respect, nothing but love. And it was funny because we literally went live at the same time today. So I'll be back tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I will be back Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll do some more content. In the meantime, make sure you're hydrating. Hydrate. It's hot out there. Drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Shoggy loves you. So do I. Be great.